Right, y'all. Here we are. We are ADOS Atlanta, and today we're gonna discuss um, Antonio Brown's indictment. What's next? What's next for Atlanta, and what are the ramifications for this area? So we're gonna do a deep dive as far as what Antonio Brown brought as City Councilman of District 3, I believe. And we're just gonna have a conversation. We got Trish, Naja, myself, Ray, and Larry, and we just gonna kick it and have a conversation. So let's start off with first of all, I'm glad everybody can make it, and we're finna have a little fun with it. So let's start off with the good of what I think Antonio Brown brought to City Hall. So in my opinion, I thought he had a burst of energy as far as giving a little opposition to everything that, or some of the things that Keisha Lance Bottoms was doing in the city. He brought the legislation for was it foreclosures, slowing down rent control. He brought the rent control legislation to City Hall, and that was able to pass. So that was good, and it allowed more people to have the opportunity to stay in their homes due to high rent that was going on. And that was at the beginning. That was actually even before COVID jumped off. So that was a positive thing that he brought. And I think he brought a lot of energy as far as his opposition down at City Hall, especially when you have the Nod Squad, the group of city councilmen that approve of everything that Keisha Lance Bottoms does,
That's what
including
you call them, the Nod Squad.
yeah, that's what they're called, the Nod Squad. So they were actually called that before Keisha got in there. They were the Nod Squad for Kasim Reed also.
Who were the
So
members of the Nod Squad?
so you had Cleta Winslow, uh, Overstreet,
Boom.
Boom, and
Bond.
who?
Bond.
Bond,
Julian Bond, Joy
Julian
Shepard.
Bond.
yes, and Joy Shepard. So they pretty much give a green light to anything that the mayor wants done. So Antonio Brown gave a little opposition to that. So I thought that that was positive. Um, what can we say? You know, when he when he came in, I thought he was fresh. I necessarily didn't have an idea that I just found out that he was LGBT. Not that that matters, but I didn't know that necessarily. I just thought that he was actually a young brother who was getting in there and making change. I didn't know where his allegiance lied. So I have some questions as far as where his loyalty lies, um, where his priority lies in politics. So I'm not really sure what's going on with Antonio Brown. Um, he was
Well,
indicted. Go ahead, Trish.
I just wanted to start with his bio that he has on the Atlanta government site. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so it just starts with him being elected in 2019, and he's only going to be in office um, for a couple of years because the person that he replaced had cancer, I think. So his bio says that he's a successful CEO, I'll bet, and humanitarian. Antonio Brown adds a unique perspective, strong faith, and inspirational work ethic to his community. So, yeah, it doesn't really say anything about anything he's done politically, so you wouldn't know who he is as a politician. Just he's a CEO and humanitarian. Okay. Um, Growing up in poverty with his parents frequently incarcerated, he discovered resilience and drive to overcome adversity and achieve success. From the ground up, he built level 13. Child, when I first read it, I thought it was level 8, but the X is a 10, whatever. A luxury men's fashion brand currently sold in Nordstrom nationwide. That's cool. After successfully launching his business, Antonio immediately began to pour back into the community through Dream of Humanity, a nonprofit committed to improving the life trajectory of marginalized people from disadvantaged backgrounds. I'd be interested to know who he's helped through Dream of Humanity. It provides the community with access to a self-sufficient lifestyle through wraparound services, transformative educational programs, and generous charitable contributions. And is not this foundation part of the reason he's been indicted? Besides the Mercedes and the Lamborghini, what was it? A Mercedes and a what? Range Rover.
Range Rover, yeah.
Range Rover. Anyways, so like it his bio reads really well, and it sounds like, you know, he's an advocate for the people. And my thing is, you should be an advocate for the people that are in your district specifically. So but it sounds good. Looks good on paper, child. So
Yeah, I just want to bring up a couple more things more recently with Antonio. Y'all remember a few weeks ago when they had that long city council meeting about defunding the police. So he did push for the defund the police. I think it was $73 million. So he definitely was, you know, I think they call it the Rayshard, I think it was called the Rayshard or dubbed the Rayshard Brooks bill. So that definitely was a good thing, but the city council ultimately didn't, they you know, they voted that down. Like Ray said, the Nas Squad did their thing and that didn't go nowhere. So, and I guess they agreed upon some of the items on the 8 can't wait list. But so I mean, Antonio, he got in there, he brought a lot of energy. Ooh, definitely a lot of stuff that we need in Atlanta, you know, because we definitely need to be more young energy that's not so status quo. So, you know, that's something positive, positive about Antonio.
Yeah, I just wonder if Keisha Lance Bottoms made a call to the DOJ to have him investigated and look back in his past, because they actually got into a spat in the city council, in one of the city council, the virtual city council meetings, because he said that Keisha Lance Bottoms should be the first one. Actually, he said we all should, talking about the city council and Keisha Lance Bottoms, we should all resign because of what's happening in the city of Atlanta. And then Keisha Lance Bottoms fired back and said, will you be the first one to resign? And he was like, no, he said, you should be the first one to resign because you're the mayor. So they went back and forth. It got a little contentious, but nobody ever came to Keisha Lance Bottoms as strongly as he did. So I'm just wondering if a call was made to have, you know, for them to look into his past and see what they can dig up. Because he's the first city councilman to be indicted in office since 1990. They've indicted city councilmen after the fact, but he's the first one to be indicted in office. So I'm just wondering what's going on behind the scenes to make this indictment to come up right now.
Why would you think that the Godfather could just make a call to the DOJ?
I don't have any proof.
Yeah,
I have,
like I like if I feel like, and I'm not a lawyer. I wish we had one. But don't these things take some time? Like they have to do an investigation. Like there has to be some shady something that let's go to the let's read the article because I I don't know. Let me see.
if we could find out when that investigation was launched, do we have any way of finding that out? Like how long have they been investigating this man?
Let me get
Because
the
it looked like
page
they just
before I do it.
pulled up some bank records, you
Yeah,
know.
like when it's like an audit is done, like when you have a charitable organization, you really have to be careful with with your funds and what you do, because red flags equal an investigation. So here's the article in AJC. Federal grand jury has indicted Atlanta City Councilman Antonio Brown on multiple counts of fraud for allegedly lying about his income on applications to obtain loans and credit cards, which he used for personal purchases, including a Range Rover and Mercedes-Benz C300, which to me just goes back to him owning that business and trying to look, and I'm allegedly trying to look like, this successful businessman. The U.S. Attorney's Office has also accused Brown of lying about being a victim of identity theft to defraud financial institutions that gave him the money. Brown is charged with wire fraud, mail fraud, bank fraud, and making false statements on a bank loan application. That's how they get you. Brown told the AJC on Thursday he plans to fight the charges and has no intention of resigning his council seat. The alleged crimes occurred years before Brown became a member of city council. He won the special runoff election in 2019 after the District 3 seat was vacated. Oh, yeah, the Councilman Ivory Lee Young died of cancer. For years, Antonio Brown allegedly sought to defraud a number of banks and credit card companies by falsely claiming that he was the victim of identity theft. Although there have been former council members, that's what you were saying, Ray, that have been indicted. Brown appears to be the first sitting councilman to be indicted since federal prosecutors charged D.L. Buddy Folks, is that how you say his name, with bribery and income tax evasion in 1993. So, okay, according to Pot, Brown opened a number of credit cards beginning in 2012, which he then used to make thousands of dollars in personal purchases. Pac also accused Brown, or Pac, of obtaining over $60,000 in loans for cars. The indictment alleges that Brown provided false information to Signature Bank when applying for a $75,000 loan in August 2017. He allegedly provided a personal financial statement during the application process, falsely claiming he earned $325,000 per year and had $200,000 in available cash or assets. So they didn't check. This is 2020. Brown knew this information was false because he had recently submitted other loan applications reporting far less income. For instance, in July 2017, Brown submitted a 2016 federal income tax return reporting he earned $125,000 per year, $200,000 less than what he represented that his income was to Signature Bank. Okay, all right. So he's purporting himself to be the first Black, openly LGBTQ person ever elected to the Atlanta City Council. That could be part of the problem. Brown proposed an ordinance would outlaw so-called riot agents such as tear gas, rubber bullets, which police argue serve as essential tools that allow them to deal with unruly crowds as safely as possible. Okay, anyways, and you were saying that one of his earlier signature pieces of legislation was a ban on landlords from rejecting federal housing vouchers as payment for rent. Yeah, why are they allowed to do that? The ordinance passed on February 17 with a 13-2 vote and was hailed as an effort to root out voucher discrimination as Atlanta struggles with providing affordable housing. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So,
I wanted to go back to something you said. You said him being LGBT could be part of the problem.
No, black.
Black LGBT.
Just black.
Just black. Just black.
Yeah.
What you
The
mean
LGBTQ part don't have nothing to do with it. It is, you gonna claim to be black? Well, we're gonna treat you like you're black. Hello.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at with this guy at the end of the day. He says he's going to stay in now. He's not going to get out. He's going to stay in. He's going to fight it. I think this tarnishes him. I don't know if he can win again, but as far as how that affects us, we need to make sure somebody gets in that. Well, let me say this. We need to have a conversation with Antonio Brown. And Antonio, you're invited on this platform to give your side of the story. I don't know how deep in detail you can go as far as your indictment is concerned. You might not be able to necessarily talk about that, but we would like to, we have questions for you. I know I have questions for you as far as your allegiances and as far as this whole concept of touting black and brown. Now,
Ray, before you move on,
okay.
Like he said, he's fighting it, which is cool. If he comes out victorious, though, I think that could make him even more popular. That's what I'm thinking, because a lot of people are behind Antonio Brown and are going for him to win. They think it's a witch hunt. That's what I. Do y'all think this is do y'all think this could be a political witch hunt? You know, is it a coincidence that the most progressive, youngest, newest member that actually was not afraid to stand up to Keisha? Is it a coincidence that he's being indicted while he's in office? You know what I'm saying?
Well, for me, I'm not worried about quote unquote allegiances or anything like that. All I care about is your district. You're in District 3, and District 3 is it's mainly a black district. So are you working for the people in District 3? That's all I care about. And for me, if you are working for your people and you're accomplishing goals like that voucher thing that he got done, kudos to you. I'm with you 100%. I don't care what money you took from who personally, because look, we got Trump as president of the United States. So I give zero damns about what he did, how he did, or who he did. I don't care. All I care about are you serving your community like you're supposed to. If you do that, you got my support. But if you're not, I'm on the other side now. I'm against you. And that's just it. So.
Yeah. And time will tell, because that's why I want to bring up the whole black and brown thing, because, you know, that district is 58% ADOS black, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And so to mention black and brown so much, I just wish all these politicians would be more specific, especially dealing with their own area. You don't have to mention brown when it's hardly no brown people in your area.
So yeah, let's talk about that. I have a chart, mind you, and I have to bring it up. But there is a chart that shows the makeup of District 3, and I gotta, sorry, my computer slows down when I have Zoom up, so trying to get it to load. But the chart will show you the makeup, and then I want to show the what is it, tweet that he put up talking about some black and brown boy, if you don't sit down. Like, really, dude? Okay, I'm ready. Hold on, let me get it together. I have to figure out all this stuff. Okay, share. So this is District 3. This is Atlanta District 3. So this big blue area, do y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
Is ADOS. And then, you know, to talk about black and brown, look, you got 14% Asian. Other, you got 4% other. Other is more than Hispanic. Why are we talking about brown at all? That is negligible. And that's an insult. And it's to me erasure, because we are a specific group with specific issues and specific harms that need to be addressed. And we have to always talk about our lineage. It's not about black and brown. It's about ADOS, Black American descendants of slavery who have been harmed. And now we're talking specifically about Atlanta. In Atlanta, like, so don't tell me anything about black and brown. That is really insulting. So let's find that tweet. So he put this up. He said on July 23rd, I think it was, he said, we concentrate poverty in black and brown communities, limit access to jobs and opportunities in healthcare, underfund schools, blah, 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 yeah. What brown communities in that 58% district are we targeting? Are we concentrating poverty in? Tell me, because if there's only 3% brown people, they're living in poverty, whose neighborhood is it really?
Right.
So my response, a week later, mind you, was your district is 58% black and only 3% Hispanic. That's negligible. Black and brown issues need to be disaggregated. It's very tone deaf of you. It's erasure of the history of anti-blackness in Atlanta. Stop it. So I'm not having it. But I saw the tweet a week prior, and I waited a week to say anything because everybody else before me was loving that tweet, because nobody cares if you put black and brown together. Everybody's like, yeah, of course, that's how it is. But no, if it's only 3% brown people, again, they're living in black neighborhoods. So really the problem is ADOS is on the bottom. So, but
yeah. And what exactly is brown people? Are Indians brown people? Because if they are, the Indians, they got a lot more. You know, when I'm talking about the Indians from Indian, they got a lot more money than black people, especially ADOS people. You talking about Asians?
No, Asians
they
on
brown?
that chart. Asians on that chart are
14%.
So it's not them.
They got a lot more money than ADOS
and white people.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who's all included in that brown.
I'm not either. Because some of that
You
24
know?
is probably white Hispanic. We don't know how they chop
you.
the numbers up.
Right.
Thank you, because like Hispanics are white, Hispanics are black, like, and then they have their own issues within their own group where they are disparaging to black. So that he's calling himself, well, we'll talk about that. All right, so
Oh, Trish, you remind me something though. What the Hispanic Caucus tweeted out the other day. I guess we can bring it up later. About no, was it about no Hispanics in the Academy Award or whatever?
that wasn't the Hispanic caucus that said that.
Yeah, that was them.
That was John Leguizamo, sir. I have that tweet. That was John
Yeah.
Leguizamo. Yeah, that was
Oh, I
beautiful.
gotta look that tweet up.
That was a thing of beauty. That whole day watching I said that the quote unquote minorities got their ADOS wake up call. Cause yeah, we about to disaggregate all of this. And they want to be disaggregated too, because Cubans consider themselves white. Puerto Ricans, they know their history. So on the island of Puerto Rico, they know. And so they're like black, and then there's the Mexicans, there's Venezuela, like everybody wants to be disaggregated. That you have this one blanket Hispanic, it doesn't address all the issues and needs of each culture, of each group. So that tweet was very eye-opening to see that the Hispanic diaspora wants to be disaggregated too. I was loving it. I was like just popping popcorn, like yes.
Hold on, Trish. Let me read you the tweet from the Hispanic Caucus. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
There have been no Latino performers among lead and supporting nominees in the last 5 years. The lack of Latino representation in film contributes to a misportrayal and stereotyping of Latinos. So the Hispanic Caucus tweeted that out.
Oh, I didn't see that. I only saw John Leguizamo.
So it turned out they came back. They came back later.
Yeah, they had to retract their statement.
They said we misquoted the tweet above. Yeah, go ahead, Naji. You go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped back in. Yeah, they left out Jarrell Jerome, who won the Emmy for This Is Us. Not This Is Us. When They See Us last year, and he was the first Latino to win that award, and they completely jumped over him.
Oh, so he's dark skinned.
Oh yeah, he's an Afro-Latino. He's
right,
Dominican.
Exactly.
And that's what people
and
were
he
saying.
Won it last year, and they made a huge deal of him being the first Afro-Latino person to win that award.
Wow.
And that's a huge deal. Yes, last year. And then this year they forget all about him.
That's what they were saying under John Leguizamo's like, well, there have been Afro-Latinos who won, so you're discounting them, right? So
yeah, it's like if you Black Latino, they don't even really consider you. You know, you're like an outcast almost.
Right.
Not almost. You are.
Right.
They're talking about white Latinos when they speak.
Yeah, exactly. And our congressional Black Caucus goes so hard for them, but we don't want to go too far off topic. But we can talk about that.
We talk about it another day.
Yeah. But it's relevant as far as distinction. It's important. You know, we're not trying to be bad guys. We're not trying to be bullies. We're not trying to be mean or xenophobic or any of these things. But when we're dealing with our issues, we have a right to be specific. And I wish that the Congressional Black Caucus would exhibit what the Hispanic Caucus did. They should have been doing this before us, before them, but they won't. So that's why you got ADOS out here saying, no, Cynthia Erivo, or whatever, being specific about our needs in Hollywood. But the Congressional Black Caucus should have been on that wave. So this is where we.
Well, he posted that Black and Brown um, tweet, and he and I had a conversation last week. I got his information from a friend of a friend because I'm trying to reach out to Dr. King's daughter, Dr. Bernice King. Shout out to Dr. Bernice King for all the awesome tweets for what she said at that funeral and how she is blackety black, black, black right now. Thank you. We need you. So I've been trying to reach out to her, and I still am. So in trying to reach out to her, I was given his information, and I told him, you know, I'm with ADOS Atlanta. We're an advocacy group, and I was given your information as a contact for Bernice King. And in describing what our advocacy group is about, he said he wanted his executive assistant to talk to me. And so I was like, cool. So we set up time to talk. And Antonio was on the call too, but I really wasn't expecting him because that's not how I read the email, whatever. So he asked me in the call, you know, explain what we're about. So I told him why we're here, what we do, how we've been treated for 400 years, chattel slavery, blah, 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 Jim Crow, blah, blah. And when I got done, he was like, well, we know the history. Everybody here knows the history, which I thought was rude, but whatever. So, he told me, and I got notes, I want to get my notes because I don't want to misstate what was said. But he did record the call, so I'm not worried about nothing. In the call, he said that he had just spoken to, he said, you know, it was funny that what we were discussing, because he had just spoken to Congressman, where is this? Here it is. Congressman Al Green and Al Green's chief of staff. And he said that he's helping or I don't know, coordinating with Al Green, who Al Green is working on legislation around reparations and reconciliation and making a cabinet level office with the Secretary of the President as the governing body, establishing a commission on an Office of Reconciliation on reinvestment in Black and Brown communities. Why do brown people need reconciliation and reparation, sir? So I was like, well, you can't call it reparation if it's not specifically for us, for ADOS, because we're the ones that have the 400-year claim with our government. So don't call it reparations. And then he went on to say that he's trying to do something similar with the city of Atlanta, and he has a coalition of organizations, and he wants to craft what did he call it? What did he call it? I don't know. He wants to craft policies or do a reconciliation legislation in the city of Atlanta. And he said that they're not going to use reparations. They're looking at using reconciliation. In the email that, one of the emails that he had sent me, let me back up. In one of the emails he had sent me and talking about reparations, I implored him not to use reparations for any city initiatives at all ever in life, because that complicates things for us. And so he said instead of reparations, they want to use reconciliation, which I was like, no, not a good word. Like, no. So like you just have to think of something else. So anyways, he wants to establish this commission. They have groups that they're working with, and he asked ADOS Atlanta to be a part of it. And I was like, cool. And then he started talking about black and brown, and I said, no, I go in and I talk about ADOS only. So if you want to do something with brown people, that is absolutely fine. But I won't be helping craft policy for anything brown. I'm there to make sure that ADOS is taken care of. And so basically, he told me if I'm not going to be there for all people, even though that's not what ADOS is about, that I can't do it. And so I said, fine. And I just bided my time because I knew he had put that whack tweet up about black and brown, but I didn't really know the makeup of his district. So I just did a little digging, took 2 seconds, and found out it was 58% black. And then I waited until the charges came up. And then I tweeted what I tweeted, which was, hey, dude, 58%. Can we start talking about the people who are actually in your district? Where are these brown people at, dude? And so I said all that to say, after I tweeted that, he didn't say anything, but after the charges came up, he tweeted something different. Let's look at that. Let's see here. Okay, I have to share. I'll get it one day. Share. What I want to share. This is what I want to share. Share. Okay. So, he tweeted this on the 30th, I think. Yeah, on the 30th, after the charges came up. He said, I've been fighting against status quo leadership since I came onto Atlanta City Council, even at times on an island alone. My voice will not be silenced. I will continue to speak out against the systemic injustices Black poor communities have endured for decades in Atlanta. Thank you, Mr. Brown, because that's who you represent is Black people. I don't care if you are a white man in that position, your constituents are Black, and that's who you represent. So I don't care, like I said, who you are, where you from, what you did, what you do. I don't care. Are you representing the 58% Black poor communities in your district? That's all that matters to me. So
the problem is, Trish, what I hate is they only, why is he only mentioning Black poor communities now that he done got in a little trouble? He say Black and brown again, you know, but it's like they want to touch that Black, make sure that they, you know, when folks get in trouble, they so Black when they get in trouble. You know, but before then, when it comes to, you know, dishing out services and actually making change, they want to help everybody. So
and you,
the problem, they mention Black, but when it comes to the solution, it's all about people of color and everybody. I got
right.
Right.
Yep. And so now I want to go back and have us on that council or whatever he's doing, and make this about ADOS. If you want something for brown, the 1,200 brown people you may have in that district, well, fine. But it's not going to be anything that's for us. Like, we're not doing this whole POC, PO, I don't know, PO. No, we are a specific group with specific needs that need to be addressed specifically for us. And okay, so if he's willing to come to the table and work with us, then I'm willing to work with him. But we can either be his biggest backers or his loudest adversaries. It's his choice. But what you're not gonna do is be Black and brown one day, and then when you get in trouble, be blackety black, and not do anything for us, sir. No.
Now let me ask you this. What if we just like you say, we get on board with his commission or coalition, and we say, okay, you want to do the black and brown thing? We'll do the black and brown thing. But how we distribute it is going to be based on percentages.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
So yeah, let's craft this. Let's put it together, but it's got to equal out. It's got to make sense. So
Yeah, it's always got to make sense. But we are the most harmed, and this is our community. You guys have been here since ever. So, and you're on the bottom. There's like I just looked up this information today. Like Atlanta is the worst city for income inequality, and their solution to income inequality has always been move the black people out and move white people in instead of lifting the black people up. And
right.
then I looked at some initiatives that could possibly be done in the city of Atlanta. Guess who ties their hands? The state.
Mm.
Like I have to find that. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and find that, because I was like so taken aback. I was like, so maybe the city needs to start petitioning the state, and we have to help in petitioning the state for initiatives that help the cities and just untie their hands. It just doesn't make any sense the way this is made in Georgia, that cities, counties have no agency. It's all done by the state, which, you know, we have a racist governor, point blank and period.
Yeah, and you know, it's red down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to see what you're about to pull up, because there's a lot that the city can do without the state. So I like to see what you're about to pull up, because they don't mind raising money, and Keisha Lance Bottoms is a great fundraiser, and they can move money all over the place when it comes to doing what they want to do. But when it comes to what needs to get done for us, all of a sudden the state ties their hands.
It is not all of a sudden. It's what I found. Let's see how Atlanta became. Okay, so okay, so this article from WAB NPR is called "How Atlanta Became the Income Inequality City." Something, I don't know. I have to find the title. I'm not on that part. It's, what is it? How Atlanta Became the Capital of Income Inequality. And I have to share. Bear with me. I'm sharing. How Atlanta. Okay. So my thing was Keisha Lance Bottom made Atlanta a haven for illegal immigrants without first taking care of her citizens. Mm-hmm. No, ma'am. That's not how this is going to work.
Right.
And so, how do you bring in people who are poor, I'm assuming, and need help when you won't help the people who are already here? Your solution is to just keep pushing them out of the city, pushing them out of Buckhead, which is what we used to own, pushing them out of Atlanta proper city. Why? Okay.
Speaking of pushing them out, they pushing them out of Antonio Brown's district, mm-hmm. over there in the
Vine City.
Vine City, what they call
it's near Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Another thing you have to consider, the fact that his district encompasses the area around Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah, and that's very important to them. Very important.
Yeah, they got the new stadium. They built that bridge that connects across the street from the train station to the stadium. I seen homes over there in Vice City going north to 500, north to $500,000. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, $500,000, $600,000 homes in the middle of the hood. So that's what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
They trying to get all them poor black people up out of there.
Mm-hmm. So there's so so in reading this article, there's a reason they're doing things that way. So Atlanta is the capital of income inequality, so says the Brookings Institution, which has ranked the city's wealth disparity as the worst in the United States for 3 out of the last 5 years. The latest analysis found those in the city of Atlanta's top income bracket made nearly 20 times more than those at the bottom, and that's not the only source for the city's title. This year, Bloomberg also put Atlanta at the top of its list of wealth divides in the U.S. The career site Zippia did the same. Headlines highlighting the city's exceptional inequality are almost an annual tradition. The ranking can seem intuitive to anyone who's driven north to south on the downtown connector and seen high-rise developments fade into vacant warehouses, but it may hide some important context which could explain how the city ended up so unequal. So let's look at this. So here's a chart. So this chart is to provide a deeper understanding of income inequality. Reporters working with the Ravage Fiscal Reporting Program compared taxes, income, and safety net policies in 4 cities and states. So it's Georgia, New York, Texas, and Washington. So what is this? So the light brown is the top 1%. The middle is 20%, and that is the dark brown. And then second 20% is the light green, and the lowest 20% is the dark green. And you see that like Washington State, lowest 20% is what almost at, well, they're at 25%, but their top 1% is like way down here. But our top 1% is almost what, 10, 15, what's half of 25, 12 and a half?
Yeah, about around 10, about 15. It looks like, yeah.
Yeah, like
somewhere between 10 and 15 look like.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay, so that's that. So it says a city unlike the region. It probably doesn't tell the whole story. David, I don't know how to say this name, Joe Quist, I don't know, professor at Georgia State. Joe Quist or Soquist said to get a fuller understanding of wealth inequality in Atlanta, you should also look at incomes beyond the city in the metropolitan area. With the broader view, his team at Georgia State found the highest income earners in the region made 9 times more than the lowest income earners. And we all know who the lowest are. That might still sound like a lot, but it's half the divide in wealth that you see in the city. And it significantly changes the overall ranking. So he's just saying when you add up the mean, that means that it ranks it higher. While Atlanta may be the leader of inequality, the metro area tumbles to 19th place. So why does the region look more equal or at least less unequal than the city? Well, let's see why. It's partly because Atlanta is so small that it isn't really representative of the metropolitan area. Less than 10% of the people in the region live within Atlanta city limits because they can't afford it, making it one of the least populous major cities compared to its surrounding metro area. But Soquist said Atlanta's size only explains part of the difference between the city and the metro area. The type of population the city is missing because of its limited borders is also key. We don't have a good middle income population, and we've not had that for some time. Ain't that what we're about? We want a strong Black middle class. We don't need to be Bill Gates. We don't care about billionaires. Not saying that we don't care, we're just saying we want a strong Black middle class. In fact, he found Atlanta had one of the smallest middle classes among the 50 US cities studied in the Brookings report. And this really gets to the core of the discrepancy between the city and the metro area, because unlike the city, the region does have a middle class population. Those middle class people are just outside Atlanta's city limits in the suburbs, because that's where they're pushed. Okay, the flight of the middle class. The story of how Atlanta became this concentrated center of inequality in a more moderate income region has its roots in racism. You think? Stoquist said you can pick up the narrative in the 1960s when Atlanta integrated its public schools and the Fair Housing Act banned discriminate. They don't discriminate housing policies. Okay. Rather than face the possibility of Black families entering their schools and neighborhoods, many white families simply decided to leave. More than 150,000 white people, 1/3 of the city's population, abandoned Atlanta in the decades that followed. And as they resettled in the new suburbs in Gwinnett, DeKalb, Forsyth, and Clayton counties, they took the middle class with them. So white flight. Stoquist said the Black families that replaced white households in these vacated neighborhoods often had lower incomes. They also had access to fewer opportunities to grow their wealth. Robert Bullard, blah, 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 blah. He says reasons economic growth strategically left out the city's low-income Black residents. Exactly. Most of the jobs that were created in the cities were located outside of MARTA access. Because MARTA don't go nowhere now. Still, in general, after the new white suburbs rejected the transit system, anyone who relied on MARTA was constrained mainly to Atlanta city limits. So MARTA was built with the intent purpose to keep Black people in Black neighborhoods. Looking at land use, okay, let me go down. Georgia's influence. Some argue that it's also worth looking to the state level for answers about Atlanta's inequality ranking. Let's see, there are a lot of things available to state policymakers, a lot of levers they can pull that can help families and communities come a little bit closer together economically. One example might be raising the minimum wage. Georgia's been stuck at $5 for more than a decade. $5. It's still low enough that the federal minimum wage of $7.25 applies. And here we go. State legislators have not supported that or other approaches like paid family leave. And worse, in Tharp's eyes, they've passed laws prohibiting cities from trying those approaches on their own. It takes away the ability of whether it's Atlanta or Savannah or, places like Valdosta to enact policies that may be a little more tailored to their own local needs. So that one initiative that we put as a demand where the minimum wage in the city of Atlanta be $15, the state ties their hands. He said it's a problem that's affecting not just Atlanta, but also rural areas. So that's just an example of how this red state ties the hands of a Black city on purpose.
Yeah. That's definitely one relevant way that they do that. And long story short, we're gonna have to take the state house. We're gonna have to figure out a way to take the state house, which is a hell of a task. But until we do that, we still can exert some power on the local level, don't y'all think?
Yeah, I think we can push them to push the state, like to start petitioning the state. Like we will, they will, like, look, these things have to change and we just have to be loud and proud. This is ridiculous. And all of it stems back, again, like this Brookings Institute report says, to racism. They redline us, they hold us back, they push us down, they shove us in these areas, They take all the money away, and then they tell us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. It all just comes back to reparations, all of it. Everything that we talk about just stems back to, you've done this on purpose, you continuously do this, and the only stopgap is us.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why we're doing these broadcasts now, to inform the people that we got to get active in politics.
Definitely.
Until the people get involved.
Yeah, you muted, right? You muted.
My bad. Until the people get involved, we're gonna have this sneaky politics and these games being played by our politicians, the politicians that we put in. They're not gonna advocate for us until we make them do so.
That's right. And so for me, Antonio Brown being indicted is the perfect opportunity for us to extend an olive branch. If you're willing to work with us, we're willing to work with you to get stuff done in the city of Atlanta for the citizens of Atlanta. The 58% Black people in Mr. Brown's district, and Nigel's district is what, 89%? Like, we have to work for the people who have been harmed, the descendants of slaves. That's it.
We have to, like, the Black and brown and people of color thing is really a citywide issue. We want to be called the Black Mecca, but when it comes down to the politics, we always talking about Black and brown and people of color. You know what I'm saying? In the city that's supposed to be the Black Mecca. So we got to get all our Atlanta politicians to stop saying people of color, stop saying Black and brown, stop saying minority, and start saying Black. And eventually we wanted to get them to say ADOS, but we got to get them to say Black, at least get them to say Black at the very least. So I don't know why a city with so many Black people like Atlanta and Black leadership and, in politics, but they scared to say Black and brown, people of color, minorities. That's over with. The Immigration Act of 1965 ended all that. The city and the country is a lot more diverse. It's so diverse that minority is not even a minority no more. It's really the majority, because the only person that ain't a majority is a straight white man. So
and see, me and Antonio had that conversation. Like, don't use people of color with us. Don't Black and brown us. Be specific. Don't minority us. When you put us all together, all that excludes, it's easier. All that excludes is straight white man.
Right. So the minority is not a majority.
Yeah. That just makes no sense.
And what happens is ADOS, we jumbled in with all the other minorities. We had to, we don't get nothing. Ain't no food for us to eat.
Exactly. Right. And everybody else gets government help. Nobody comes to this country and pulls themselves up by their bootstraps. There is not a soul that has done that. And so we will not either. You will give us what is due, because we're coming for it. Like Dr. King said, we are coming for it, and we're not letting up. So Olive Branch extended, and we want to work with City Council to make this city a beautiful place for its citizens who have been here since before most other people got here. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Nadia, did you want to jump in? I see you was unmuted.
Oh, I was going to say that goes back to Atlanta being a sanctuary city, and if we're doing black and brown politics, I mean, it just opens the door for them to get more funding to come here, kind of like in Minneapolis with the Somalian community. And the Somalians in Minneapolis, they get a grant to come to Minneapolis, and they also get funding every month. I think it's about like $800 just
Wow.
to live there. And so, I mean, that could be what's coming in Atlanta if we don't stand up for ourselves and self-identify
Right.
as Black or ADOS. Because
And
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, I was on a call yesterday, and Larry, you were there, and they were saying that representatives, political representatives, don't like using race, and so we're like, okay, neither do we. We're the descendants of slavery, and that's how we want to identify. We are American descendants of slavery. We are a very distinct group. Let's disaggregate our information. We're not Nigerian. We're not Jamaican. Yeah, like we aren't from the Caribbean, and we're not from Africa. We are American. There's no one else like us on planet Earth, and our information should be disaggregated. When you put all of our information together, it looks like we might have something, but we don't. Because
Chris, let's go ahead and calm some people nerves that's not familiar with ADOS. They gonna hear you say we not African, we not Jamaican, we not Haitian, etc. And they gonna be like, oh, they anti-black people. I mean, they
Well,
anti-black.
all of those places are nationalities. Jamaica is a nationality. I mean, if we're talking about nationalities, we're American. We really can't play Crayola politics, because even though we are Black people, all of these other people from other countries, they're Black as well. They just don't share our lineage.
Right.
And that's what's important.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah, our lineage is what makes us who we are. The what's the word? The accrued disadvantage is what you're seeing here in Atlanta, and what you'll see all over the place. Like, it's not just Atlanta, it's the United States, and that's why we say we want reparations to be federal, because the debt is anywhere from quadrillions, which is what you really owe. Let's just talk about that. Quadrillions is what's really owed. We'll settle for trillions. Cash payments, though. And so I was talking to Dr. Darity, not talking, well, it was a talk. So I was talking to Dr. Darity, and he said, like in the book From Here to Equality, he talks about the mean, that if we look at the mean lineage wealth chasm, it's over $800,000 cash. But that's the bottom. That's what he said. He said that's the bottom. That's the least. And he said, let's not start at that. But that is the bottom. So, like, we should all be millionaires. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and begin to, I guess, wind this down. I think the name of this show is what now? So what now? We wait. We Antonio Brown, and he has a lawyer. They're gonna fight this. So what now? What now, Ray? You wanna, what I'm saying? We need to find somebody that maybe could replace him. We just wait on. Do we wait on the decision? What now?
Well, I like what Trish said as far as extending an olive branch to Antonio. We need his perspective on his district and him, having distinct politics when it comes to his area. We need some clarity on his stance on that. So we need to have we need to have a conversation with Antonio Brown to see where he stands, because that needs to happen. But aside from that, we understand that it's a possibility that he may lose his seat. So, if that happens, we need to have somebody ready to fill that slot. Politics is a game, and we're on the board. So we need to do that work. And we need to do that work all over the city of Atlanta, because Antonio Brown should not be the only person on the city council that's in opposition to some of the gentrification that's going on, some of the policies and ordinances and bills that are being passed down at City Hall. So that's what we got to do. We got to do that work and get people in place that are not shy about representing the American descendants of slavery.
That's right. And reading that Brookings Institute thing, it does say that a real solution actually would need to help those in lower tax brackets get to a better place. And the city of Atlanta can do that. You may not be able to help the residents with wages, but you can help with, you don't have to call them vouchers. But I just say home ownership. You can make it so we can afford homes in the city that we built, in the city that our bodies, our ancestors' bodies are a part of the bricks in Atlanta, literally. So the city of Atlanta owes ADOS, point blank and period. So home ownership, businesses with grants that, there's no competition from anyone else. It's just a Black-owned business. It's funded by the city, and hello. So there are things that the city of Atlanta can do, and we're here, and we want to be a part of the discussion.
Yeah. And what I'll say is that, like Ray said, if Antonio, right now, we have to, look into who possibly could replace Antonio, and maybe if Antonio knows something that we don't, maybe, we can talk to him and he can point us in that direction if we can't find anybody ourselves.
Right.
Well, one thing
if
I'll
he's
say
fighting
is,
this,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'll say that there are several seats that are going to be up for re-election in November 2021. I'm not sure which ones those are. I know my district, District 12, and Antonio's district, District 3 are two of them. I think District 5 might be also up for election. But to piggyback off of what Trish said, there are a lot of initiatives in the city for people to buy homes and, to get rent vouchers, small business initiatives, things like that. But there's nothing catered directly to the Native people that are here. There's a lot of, stuff for women. There's stuff for low income, but it just doesn't take it a step further to help the people that are native to Atlanta, the descendants of slavery. So what we would have to do is we would have to push a self-identification. We need to be identified as ADOS.
Right.
I don't think that we're going to be able to get anything done unless we are able to say, hey, we're not Black, we're not people of color. We have to be the descendants of slavery. We have to be recognized as Native Blacks in this city. Because if we don't do that, we're just going to keep getting trampled over.
That's right.
So Nigel, I'm asking y'all, should we be working on legislation to work with somebody, maybe somebody in the city to write up legislation to give us a designation just locally here in the city?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to have to be our first move, because, we can't try to get things specifically for us as Black people, because, Atlanta has like a high Nigerian population. So as soon as we do that, we're going to be opening the door for, other Africans or other Black groups, Caribbeans, whoever, to be able to get those set asides for us. So it'll be affirmative action all over again.
Right.
So we can't play the Crayola politics anymore. It has to be ADOS or descendants of slavery or descendants of chattel slavery, whatever gets us to the point where we're able to self-identify.
Right.
We got to be specific.
Very specific. And that was
Yeah.
a sticking point, but I'm hoping he's willing to hear us out. So
All right, cool. I think this was a great conversation.
It was a great one.
Definitely.
And I hope everybody comments, likes, shares, and subscribes this video. We want to keep this conversation going. Let all your friends know about Friends and Family Day, ADOS Friends and Family Day, August 9th.
Yeah, Naja, could you let the people know exactly what ADOS Friends Family Day is?
Well, we're going to give people that are new to ADOS and don't really know who we are a little education about our history in this country and, you know, our current condition. And, you know, if you are new to ADOS or you know someone who is new to ADOS, we're going to do like a Zoom call, and it'll be really fun just to let it, you know, we want to teach more people about who we are, and we want as many people as possible to get on the call and, you know, just learn some more about ADOS with us. I'm not sure what time it starts.
4
p.m.
4 p.m. on August 9th. Is there a way that we can send an invitation out to people?
Yeah, I've already sent out the invitation to all the emails that I have on the via
But what about for
newsletter,
people
and we
who are?
posted it on Facebook on our
It's on
Facebook
the Facebook.
page. I need to put it on the public page too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you're listening to this, if you are in the Atlanta area, we do have ADOS Facebook page is ADOS Atlanta Public. So if you're in the Atlanta area, you know, go ahead and subscribe to that page on our Facebook page.
Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, it was a great show, y'all. I appreciate it. And I just want people to realize out there watching that politics is not a spectator sport. You know, it's not something you just watching on. We're gonna have to get in the game and do something.
Right.
And the data is on our side. We just have to, you know, inform our people and educate these politicians as well that the time is over to classify us as people of color and Crayola colors and all of this stuff. We here for change, and that's what we plan to do. So we'll see y'all next time, and thanks everybody for being on the call, and talk to y'all soon.
All right, later, y'all.
Peace.